I remember the sound before I understood what it meant. A low, hollow crack beneath my boots, subtle, almost like the lake shifting in its sleep. I froze instinctively, one foot still mid-step, listening as the silence stretched around it. Then another sound followed, softer but closer, like something exhaling beneath me. That's when I realized the ice wasn't still. My name is Matteo. I'm 37, and I had come north in late winter to photograph a frozen lake I'd seen years ago in a magazine, flat, endless, untouched. Back then, it looked like a place where time paused long enough for you to catch up with yourself. I didn't come here chasing beauty, not exactly. I came because I had spent the last few years moving through life without really being present for it, answering messages, finishing projects, filling time so efficiently that nothing ever settled. You know that feeling, when your mind is always somewhere else, even when your body isn't moving. Out here, I thought the silence might slow things down. The morning had been clear, the kind of cold that feels clean rather than harsh. The lake stretched in every direction, its surface smooth but textured with faint lines, fractures frozen mid-motion, like something caught between states. I tested the ice carefully at the edge, just like I'd learned, steady pressure, listening, watching. It held. Solid, reassuring. So I stepped forward. At first, it felt stable. Each step echoed faintly beneath me, a dull, contained sound that reassured more than it warned. I moved slowly, adjusting my camera, watching the light shift across the surface. There's a strange comfort in places that seem empty. They don't ask anything from you. They just exist. I had walked farther than I realized. When the first crack came, it didn't feel dangerous. Just unexpected. I paused, looking down, noticing how the lines beneath the surface seemed darker now, more defined. The second crack followed, closer to my left foot. I stopped completely. That's when the thought arrived, not panic, just clarity. This wasn't solid in the way I needed it to be. I turned slowly, retracing my path with my eyes. The shore felt farther away than it should have. The distance hadn't changed, but something about how I perceived it had. I shifted my weight carefully, lowering myself just slightly to distribute it. Every movement felt amplified now, as if the lake were paying attention. Another crack. Longer this time. The sound traveled outward, spreading beneath me in a thin, branching line. I could feel it, not just hear it, a subtle vibration through the soles of my boots, like the surface was loosening its grip on itself. I started to move back, one slow step at a time. The ice responded immediately. A sharp fracture formed just ahead of me, cutting across the surface in a jagged line. I stopped again, my breath shortening, my chest tightening against the cold air. That's when I understood something I hadn't considered before: stability isn't a fixed state. It's a temporary agreement between forces you can't see. I adjusted my direction, angling slightly, trying to avoid the fracture. The lake gave no feedback, no guidance. Just silence, interrupted by the occasional, quiet shift beneath me. Then my right foot broke through. Not completely, just enough for the ice to give way, plunging my leg into water so cold it felt almost unreal. I pulled back instantly, the shock forcing the air out of my lungs. The surface cracked further around the hole, widening slightly before settling again. I stood there, heart pounding, one boot soaked, the cold already beginning to creep upward. I thought I would die, not in some dramatic flash, but in the slow realization that if the ice gave way again, I wouldn't have time to react. The lake didn't feel empty anymore. It felt alive. I dropped to my knees. It wasn't a decision I thought through. Just instinct. Spreading my weight across a larger surface, lowering my center, making myself less of a point of pressure. The ice responded differently this time. The sound softened, less sharp, more distant. That's when the second realization came, steady and clear. Survival isn't always about moving faster. Sometimes it's about becoming smaller, quieter, less demanding on the space you're in. I began to crawl. Each movement was deliberate, slow, controlled. My hands pressed against the surface, feeling for stability before shifting my weight forward. The cold from my soaked boots spread further, but I kept moving, focusing on the rhythm. Move. Pause. Listen. The cracks didn't disappear, but they changed, less immediate, more like echoes than warnings. The shore grew closer. Not quickly, but enough. When I finally reached solid ground, I didn't stand right away. I stayed low, one hand still on the ice, as if letting it release me on its own terms. The wind moved across the lake, carrying the same quiet it had before. Nothing looked different. The surface stretched out, still and pale, hiding whatever motion continued beneath it. I sat there for a while, pulling off my boot, wringing out what I could, letting the cold air do the rest. My hands were shaking, not from fear anymore, but from the intensity of the moment passing through me. I realized then how much of my life I had spent trying to stay in control of everything, my time, my thoughts, my direction. Out there, on that ice, control hadn't mattered. Awareness had. I still move through my days. I still work, respond, plan. But now, there's a part of me that notices when things begin to shift beneath the surface, small signs I used to ignore. I don't rush past them anymore. Sometimes, I slow down. Sometimes, I stop entirely. Because not everything that looks solid is meant to hold you forever. Have you ever felt something beneath your life begin to shift, before you understood why? If this story resonated, subscribe for more voices of survival.